The falling out between Putin and Prigozhin, Wagner Group's boycott of Russian military raises questions. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of Wagner paramilitary group, used to be close allies. However, the relationship between the two has recently become strained. Prigozhin, once known as Putin's chef, has refused to comply with Putin's order to bring Wagner under Russian military control, sparking a potential feud. Some experts suggest Prigozhin is building a competing power base to the Kremlin elite, while others believe there may be a grander scheme in play. Meanwhile, as Russia pushes for Wagner recruits to sign contracts, the question remains if Prigozhin will bend to Putin's will. Kangaroo sanctuary owner faces eviction, leaving 90 rescued roos without a home. Andrew Oswald, a former war veteran who runs Gumby's Kangaroo and Wildlife Sanctuary in South Australia, is facing eviction, leaving 90 rescued kangaroos without a home. Oswald has rented the property for the past 6 years and has invested a lot into the sanctuary, including $30,000 a year to feed the animals. He has no plans of leaving and risks euthanasia for the kangaroos if authorities take over. Oswald is in the process of getting the necessary permits and has reached out to the Port Pirie Regional Council for assistance. The council encourages him to put together a long-term proposal. Thieves steal from store every day as shoplifting bounces back in New South Wales. Shoplifting in New South Wales has surged back to pre-pandemic levels, with thefts from retail stores spiking by almost 38% over the past 2 years, according to the latest data from the New South Wales Bureau of Crime Statistics and Research. Michelle Phillips, a store manager from southern New South Wales, reports that people are brazenly stealing from her business multiple times each day. The thefts range from someone slipping pencils into their pocket to people walking off with a trolley filled with $500 in decorations. Retail theft bounced back faster than many other offences, indicating the cost of living crisis may be playing a role. Title: Conservation Group urges Tanya Plibersek to stop sand mine expansion damaging ecological area. A conservation group has appealed to Federal Environment Minister Tanya Plibersek to use her powers to stop Boral's expansion of a sand mine near the Minamurra River. The expansion, known as Stage 5B, will damage 7.5 hectares of vegetation, including 38 threatened Bangalay sand forest trees. The Friends of Minamurra River group claims the project is environmentally obscene and could destroy the habitats of several fauna species listed as threatened, including sea eagles. Boral said the sand from dunes in the area was the optimum source for construction in Sydney. The project received approval in November 2020 from the New South Wales Independent Planning Commission. Title: Australian Federal Police Commissioner accused of conflict of interest after meetings with PwC partner. Australian Federal Police (AFP) Commissioner Reece Kershaw is accused of not disclosing a conflict of interest after meeting multiple times with PwC partner Mick Fuller. The meetings discussed a $750,000 contract that was awarded without public tender. Greens Senator David Shoebridge revealed documents in the Senate that showed Kershaw had closer involvement in designing the contract than was previously confirmed. Kershaw's meetings with Fuller, a friend of Kershaw, who now works at PwC as a government relations partner, included one before the contract was awarded. The AFP denied the accusations, and the matter is under investigation. Title: This Never Happened Festival bans mobile phones from concerts. Promoters of This Never Happened Festival have decided to ban the use of mobile phones during their upcoming shows in Melbourne and Sydney. Attendees will be issued with stickers to cover the lenses of their smartphones, preventing them from recording the gig or taking photos. The move is aimed at turning back the clock on the audience experience, reminding fans to be present and enjoy the live music. Research shows that recording events can result in poorer memory recollection compared to those who simply live the experience. This Never Happened has received positive feedback from fans who have embraced the no phones policy. Title: Runaway tyre creates costly damage at Adelaide butcher shop. An Adelaide butcher shop suffered a significant monetary loss after a loose tyre from a passing trailer crashed through its front door. The incident took place early Wednesday morning, causing $12,000 worth of damage to the store's newly installed cabinet and leading to the spoilage of $2,000 worth of meat. Fortunately, no one was injured in the strange occurrence. The shop's manager commented that while the incident was unfortunate, it was fortunate that no customers or employees were in the store. The store has since reopened for business and is in the process of repairing the damages. How likely is it that the noises detected underwater are coming from inside the missing Titanic tourist submersible? As the search for the missing Titan submersible continues, Canadian surveillance has detected underwater noises. The sounds were described as banging noises and prompted a search of the region by a robotic vessel. However, the question remains whether the noises came from the tourist submarine. The ocean is a noisy place, and there are many other potential sources of sound underwater. Officials have warned that search crews have to eliminate potential man-made sources other than the Titan. With the oxygen supply due to run out, more ships and other vessels are arriving in the search area. Brisbane was definitely holding dates at Huge Stadium for Taylor Swift, but she's not coming. Here's why. Taylor Swift's Eras tour will skip Brisbane due to scheduling conflicts. The ASM Global Asia Pacific chairman Harvey Lister stated that Swift was definitely holding dates at Lang Park Stadium, but Australia got sandwiched a bit between tour dates in other countries. Swift will perform for 3 nights in Sydney and 2 nights in Melbourne in February 2024, with only 2 weeks' worth of dates available in Australia. Lister expressed disappointment and pointed out that the last 2 times Swift toured Australia, the 2 concerts held at Lang Park had sold out. Pedophile cult leader granted bail despite second supervision order breach. William Cam, also known as Little Pebble, has been granted bail by the New South Wales Supreme Court after allegedly breaching his supervision orders for the second time. Cam, who founded the notorious Order of Saint Charbel cult, was arrested and accused of breaching his supervision orders when he deleted his browser history and asked a third party to upload a prayer to a WordPress website. Cam pleaded guilty to a similar breach in November 2022. Cam's defense argued that fresh bail conditions, including restricting the type of mobile phone Cam could use, could mitigate any possible reoffending. He is due to face Downing Centre Local Court on July 11. Title: International chefs win landmark wage dispute case against Australian restaurant. 2 international chefs, Midden Bassi and Saeed Haider, have won a landmark case in Australia against New South Wales restaurant owner Vaisak Usha and his company, Namitha Nakul Pty Limited. Bassi and Haider claimed that they were underpaid while working as chefs in Aditya Kerala restaurants between 2016 and 2018. They also claimed that they were forced to work up to 70 hours a week and threatened with sponsorship issues if they didn't help cover the cost of their 457 visas. The federal court has ordered Usha and his company to pay almost $200,000 in unpaid wages and superannuation, in addition to $100,000 each in penalties. Title: Air National Guardsman behind Discord leak pleads not guilty to 6 counts. 21-year-old Jack Teixeira, who is accused of leaking classified information related to national defense, has pleaded not guilty to 6 counts of willful retention and transmission of classified information. The alleged leaker was indicted by a federal grand jury after being arrested in April for sharing U.S. military secrets on Discord, a messaging app used by gamers. Teixeira's family expressed hope for a fair trial after the arraignment. Prosecutors say the leak is the most serious U.S. national security breach since WikiLeaks in 2010. The defendant faces up to 60 years in prison if convicted. Title: Bearded 62-year-old pole dancer goes global. Alan Rienicka, a 62-year-old pole dancer, has taken his skills from regional Queensland to American reality television. Rienicka, who has an online following, appeared on a national talent show in 2022. His skills have clocked up millions of views on social media and landed him on Australia's Got Talent. Earlier this year, he flew to the US to audition in front of the judges for America's Got Talent. Though he did not make it to the next round, Rienicka is not letting it deter him. He hopes his coverage encourages others, particularly men, to take up pole dancing, which he believes is a fun and mind-boosting sport. Title: Notorious pedophile priest pleads guilty to fresh charge. Former priest Gerald Ridsdale, one of Australia's most prolific pedophiles, has pleaded guilty to another historical sex offence. The 89-year-old has been charged with a count of indecent assault of a minor in the 1980s, bringing his total charges to 192. The Ballarat Magistrates Court heard that Ridsdale had molested a 13-year-old boy at St Brigid's College in Horsham, where he was working as a counsellor. Ridsdale has admitted to sexually abusing over 70 minors between 1961 to 1988. He is currently serving a near 40-year sentence and is expected to be eligible for parole in 2027. Critics slam plans for more prison officers in Banksia Hill under Fresh Start for WA Youth Justice. The Western Australia government announced a fresh start for the troubled youth justice system, including more guards from adult prisons at Banksia Hill and greater Aboriginal engagement. However, this announcement has received criticism from one of the loudest critics of the state's youth justice system, Jerry Georgatos. Georgatos expressed concern over plans to get more prison officers, who would normally work in adult prisons, into the state's main juvenile detention centre, Banksia Hill. Increasing the number of prison officers at the facility would be disastrous, he said. Corrective Services Minister Paul Papalia said the infrastructure needs of the youth justice system would be reviewed. Victoria's chief prosecutor defends decision not to authorise Lawyer X scandal charges. Victoria's Director of Public Prosecutions, Kerry Judd, KC, has defended herself against criticism that she should have authorised criminal charges over the Lawyer X scandal. Judd stated that there was no reasonable chance of convicting those involved in the saga, which saw barrister Nicola Gobbo induced by police detectives to become an informer and betray her clients. Judd emphasized that the decision not to prosecute was made in conjunction with the chief Crown Prosecutor and another Crown Prosecutor. She also said that she had not ruled out future potential prosecutions but was waiting on an updated brief of evidence from the Office of the Special Investigator. Title: Queensland Education Department reverses equestrian ban for state school students. Queensland Education Minister Grace Grace has backflipped on a controversial decision to bar state school students from participating in equestrian events for their schools. The directive was issued a week before the Interschool State Championships, which would have affected the attendance of students from around 80 state schools. After media coverage of the issue, the Education Minister asked her department to review the ban, leading to its removal. Equestrian Queensland Chief Executive Briston Toft was pleased with the outcome, calling it a "fantastic outcome" for families and members. Parents and students alike welcomed the reversal of the decision. Title: Tiger King star convicted of wildlife trafficking. A jury has convicted Begavan Doc Antle, the wild animal trainer featured in the popular Netflix series Tiger King, of wildlife trafficking in Virginia. Antle was accused of illegally buying endangered lion cubs for display and profit at his South Carolina zoo, resulting in 2 felony counts of wildlife trafficking and conspiring to wildlife traffic. The jury acquitted Antle of 5 counts of animal cruelty. Antle's prosecution follows a growing public outcry against wild animals being exploited for entertainment purposes. Antle faces up to 20 years in prison and will be sentenced on September 14. Over 1,100 nursing jobs face the axe as money runs out. More than 1,100 New South Wales nurses hired during the pandemic now stand to lose their jobs with no money set aside to cover their contracts past mid-2025. The New South Wales Health Minister Ryan Park blamed the coalition government for only hiring them on a temporary basis, but would not commit to extending the funding or making the positions permanent. The government released figures show the Hunter New England Local Health District would be the worst hit, with 138 full-time equivalent nurses standing to lose their jobs. The loss of 1,100 nurses would be disastrous for the state's hospital system, says New South Wales Nurses and Midwives Association. ACT government accuses federal coalition of trying to undermine territory rights over Calvary takeover. The ACT government has accused the federal coalition of trying to undermine territory rights over the proposed government takeover of one of Canberra's two public hospitals. A private member's bill by Queensland LNP Senator Matt Canavan, which would effectively compel the ACT government to hold an inquiry into the acquisition of Calvary Public Hospital, has today been referred to a Senate committee for examination. Senator Canavan said this inquiry would have all the features of a direct inquiry into the takeover. The ACT government will take over the ownership and management of the hospital on July 3, with plans to build a new $1 billion hospital on the site. Title: Deadly explosion at Chinese barbecue shop. A gas explosion at a barbecue restaurant in Yinchuan, China has claimed the lives of 31 people. The explosion, caused by a leaking petroleum gas tank, also injured 7 people. Chinese President Xi Jinping has ordered stronger safety checks and for the authorities to treat the wounded. Despite efforts to improve safety, accidents resulting from gas and chemical explosions are not uncommon in China. In 2015, a similar incident in the city of Tianjin claimed 173 lives. Andrew Price and Jake Brown given 7-year sentences over killing of Jared Loverson. 2 men who were accused of murdering Jared Loverson have been sentenced for manslaughter. Andrew Price and Jake Brown received sentences of 7 and 7.5 years respectively, with non-parole periods of 4 and 4.5 years. The murder charge was downgraded when a key witness died and prosecutors could not prove beyond reasonable doubt that the pair had intended for Loverson to die. The 2 men had given him a lethal dose of GHB and left him in the bush. The woman who lured Loverson was also sentenced for manslaughter earlier this year. New search for actor Julian Sands unsuccessful as family remembers bright memories. The search for missing actor Julian Sands on Southern California's Mount Baldy has been unsuccessful for the 8th time. Sands disappeared in January after setting out to hike on the mountain, which was hit by severe storms during winter. More than 80 volunteers and deputies, 2 helicopters and drone crews were involved in the latest search on Saturday. The San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department said the area remains inaccessible due to extreme alpine conditions, including ice and snow up to 10 feet deep. Sands' family expressed gratitude to the rescue teams and remembered him as a wonderful father, explorer, and performer. Title: Investigation launched into Caboolture Hospital's treatment of baby with potentially life-threatening infection. An external investigation has been launched into Caboolture Hospital's treatment of a baby suffering from a potentially life-threatening skin infection. Health Minister Shannon Fentiman has revealed that the investigation is underway into the case where a 6-month-old child was misdiagnosed and not admitted to the hospital last October. Despite suffering from a highly painful Staphylococcus scalded syndrome infection, the child's condition was only diagnosed when his father used Ryan's Rule, a Queensland health option, to demand a second opinion. External clinicians are undertaking the review, and the child's family hopes that the review examines why their grandson was sent home after the second visit to the hospital. Lab-grown chicken set to hit U.S. restaurants. U.S.-based companies Upside Foods and Good Meat have been given the go-ahead by the country's Agriculture Department to sell chicken that has been grown in a laboratory. The meat, also known as cell-cultivated, is produced in tanks using cells taken from living animals, fertilized eggs or stored cells. The resulting product is nutritionally identical to farm chicken but does not require the slaughter of animals. The meat will initially be available in select restaurants and eventually in supermarkets. Singapore was the first country to approve the sale of lab-grown chicken. Archaeologists discover Stonehenge-like 4,000-year-old sanctuary in the Netherlands. Archaeologists have unearthed a 4,000-year-old sanctuary in the central Netherlands that bears similarities to England's Stonehenge. The sanctuary, which is made up of ditches and burial mounds, was constructed to align with the sun on solstices. The archaeologists found valuable offerings such as bronze spearheads, animal skeletons, and human skulls. Rows of poles stood along pathways used for processions. One grave was of a woman buried with a glass bead from Mesopotamia, which is present-day Iraq. The archaeologists took 6 years to research more than 1 million excavated objects dating from the Stone Age to the Middle Ages. Title: Study finds immune system of astronauts weakens in space. According to a new study published in Frontiers in Immunology, the immune systems of astronauts weaken in space. The study, which involved 14 astronauts from NASA and the Canadian Space Agency, found that gene expression in white blood cells decreased as soon as they reached space, making them more susceptible to infections. The genes returned to normal after a month of returning to Earth. The researchers believe that the phenomenon called fluid shift, which redistributes blood in the absence of Earth's gravitational pull, may be responsible for this altered behavior. The findings could help develop countermeasures for astronauts. Title: Northern Star Resources to double processing capacity with $1.5 billion KCGM Super Pit upgrade. Northern Star Resources has greenlit a $1.5 billion expansion of its Fimiston mill in Western Australia's goldfields, which will more than double its processing capacity. The expansion, which is already underway and set to complete in 2026, will increase Fimiston's processing capacity from 13 million tonnes per year to 27 million. The self-funded expansion will help Northern Star join the top 5 gold producers globally. The company has struggled to meet the output of operations in the area, but the backlog of 120 million tonnes of pre-mined ore, holding about 3 million ounces of gold, will serve as a key feed source for the new mill. Mother and daughter hit by car in Adelaide CBD during school drop-off. A mother and daughter were hit by a car during school drop-off in Adelaide's CBD. According to SA Ambulance, the mother was pinned under the car and taken to the hospital with serious injuries, while her 6-year-old daughter suffered minor injuries. The driver of the car, a 51-year-old Ferryden Park man, was reported for aggravated driving without due care and will appear in court at a later date. The incident occurred at the busy junction of Angus Street and Moore Street and has prompted a statement from St. Aloysius College, where the daughter is a student, offering counselling and support to their students. Man charged over deaths of 2 teenage girls in New South Wales boat crash. A 73-year-old man has been charged over the boat crash that killed 2 teenage girls near Tamworth in northwest New South Wales in December 2022. The girls, aged 13 and 14, were being towed behind a boat on an inflatable when they crashed into a tree stump at Rushes Creek off Lake Keepit. Despite efforts by members of the public and paramedics, the girls died at the scene. The man has been charged with negligently operating a recreational vessel causing death. He will appear in court next month, and a report will be prepared for the coroner. Title: Queensland stone installer fined for exposing workers to silicosis-causing dust. A Queensland stone installer has been fined $32,500 for violating workplace health and safety laws by exposing employees to dust that can cause silicosis, a deadly lung disease. The Brisbane Magistrates Court heard that 2 workers were exposed to dust from artificial stone products while cutting a bench top on site using an angle grinder. The court was told that the company had a comprehensive set of controls in place and its policy was that there was to be no cutting on site. However, a supervisor instructed workers to cut the bench top on site. The company pleaded guilty, and no conviction was recorded.